Hey, I'm Kevin, and I'm not childish. Well, I'm back. Um, if you notice, the background's changed. That's because we moved. My wife bought a house, or a townhouse, and we just finally got everything sort of in place. There's a little echo. Sorry about that. Tell you the truth, my wife doesn't even know I'm doing these, so that also has caused another problem for me to try to schedule doing um, my recordings. And the reason I don't tell her about it is because it'd get me too many damn questions. And if I feel like saying something about her, I would have to watch what I say. So this way, as long as she doesn't know about it, of course she's going to find out sooner or later. Common sense will tell you that nothing stays a secret forever. So remember that. In fact, I'll be talking about that on my next video. Well, I'm in middle school. A lot of things have passed that I covered the last time, but I thought I would hit some more things, tell a few more stories. Not in any specific order though, just things that I went through, had happened to me, you know. In fact, I just remembered another one. Going to camp, went up there, got myself where you're allowed to take penknives to camp. Yeah, so I actually carved myself a knife out of wood. And there's this one counselor, she was pretty hot, but anyway, I didn't get anywhere with her. Damn it. As if I would have known what to do anyway. Hadn't learned anything about sex yet, just knew I liked women. So, but other things at that time in my life, I liked woodworking, and we had some of that at school. At home, I was farming, which was pretty cool for me because I got to drive tractors and stuff. I had my own piece of ground that I had to farm. I had cattle of my own at this point. And what else was I doing? Oh, yeah, I was joined in 4-H, so I actually started showing cattle at the fairs and in competition. And I had a lot of things going on. Oh yeah, I was in a tractor driving, well, in several tractor driving contests. In fact, I ultimately won the junior tractor driving contest the one year. Got myself a 1/4 inch drill for that. Oh yeah, nothing like a good redneck getting his power tools on. Um, was in demonstrations and stuff like that. Demonstrations meaning I showed people how things worked or talked about something that was very technical, like how a screwdriver works and how to recondition one if the blade was wore out. So if you ever need that done, just call me. I can show you how to do it, or I'll do it for you. You just got to mail them to me. I can sharpen your drill bits too. Learned that in college. Um, I got into models in more deeply and all, but one of the things, kind of the coolest thing that I can remember, because it involves school wind at home, was I built rockets. And one of my rockets looked just like the X-15. And then I built this other one where each fin, at the bottom of the fin, there's 4 fins, had a 3-inch styrofoam ball glued to the end of it. And I put a 3-inch balsa wood ball on the top, but you couldn't buy one. So I got a piece of 3x3 balsa wood, 6 inches long, and I actually set it up on the lathe at school and turned out a ball strictly by eye. And I want to tell you something, it was almost perfectly round. I also had to drill a hole through it on the side of it, and I had to drill from both ends of it, and they actually met in the middle. Then we had a rocket day where everybody showed off what they could do, and of course I wanted to, you know, my parents being the way they are, they allowed me to have 2 rocket engines for each one. I shot off my X-15, it did all right. Then I shot off my ball rocket, I called it, and it went up perfectly straight. Chute popped out and it comes down and it lands right on its 4 fins, just as if it was landing like you used to see in the really old movies and all, and everybody loved it. They practically went wild, clapping and everything else. So then I shot off my X-15 again, and this time it didn't go well at all. It spun end over end and landed up right in the crowd, and and then backfired. And of course, kids are running everywhere. Wouldn't never be able to do that these days. And then I shot my ball rocket off again, and it went well again. It did a really good job, but I was out of engines. Everybody else shot their rockets off, and people were hollering to have mine shot off again, but I didn't have any engines. And this one guy, his rocket wrecked big time. It was a great crash, though. I tell you, seeing a Saturn V rocket just go auguring into the ground, it was beautiful. There was nothing left of that thing. Anyway, he gave me one of his engines. I told him it's not going to work. It has a delay on it. I can't have a delay. Delay meaning as soon as the engine stops burning, it has to backfire right away, kick the chute out. But he kept bugging me, and so I finally put it in and set it up, you know, knowing this was a mistake. But I launched it, it went up beautifully, and because of the delay, the chute didn't come out. The rocket tumbled over and starts heading straight down to the ground. And this other boy, he starts running out there. He's going to catch this thing. And I was telling him to stay away. And just about that time, I'd say like 15, maybe 20 feet off the ground, the chute pops out. It catches it. The chute opens, it catches it. It's just floating down, just getting in position, just as the boy ran up to it. And he ran right into the one fin and snapped it in half. And, you know, I wasn't too mad at him for it, but if he'd have just let it alone, it would have survived. But that's the way things go for me. So that was the end of shooting that off. And, you know, I never did fix that fin, even though it would have been simple to glue together. And actually, just to share this with you, my mother felt it was so worthwhile, she threw it in the trash some years later. I would have thought she'd have kept it, but no, nope, couldn't keep that. So now I'm going to share another story about the same age, something that bothered me a lot, and I don't know why exactly. Maybe because I could never get away with a lie, yet everybody else seemed to lie and get away with things. I don't know if any of you have ever had that, but because of that, I would also tell on my brother and sister. In fact, they would get me in trouble. They would get me to do something, and then they would go tell on me. I don't know. So anyway, I remember I said that I had a tape recorder for, a reel to reel for doing my spelling. Well, one every time my mother would go um, grocery shopping, my sister would say she's going to practice the piano. Amazing how she always timed it when my mother was going to the grocery store, and that meant she would practice for an hour. And so I knew she didn't practice; she just goofed around. So I was upstairs working on one of my models in my bedroom, and I got the tape recorder out. I set it all up, and I set the mic out right by the steps. And the living room where the piano was just down at the bottom of the steps pretty much. So I turned it on while my mother was still there, and the two of them were still talking and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But I thought I set the tape so there's no way I'd run out. I knew I had plenty of tape. So after the two of them got done talking, my mother left, and my sister probably hit the keys maybe 3-4 times while my mother was gone, only for 15-20 seconds at a time. I mean, she didn't practice at all. So here my mother comes back, and as she's coming in the door, of course, Donna's there playing away to let my mother know she'd been practicing all the time she was gone, which was well over an hour. And my mother hollered to her, says, "Were you practicing the whole time?" She goes, "Yes, Mother, I was practicing all the time." And I hollered down, "No, she wasn't." I don't know. I just can't stand people lying. And she says, "I was too." I said, "Well, I got a tape recorder up here. It says you weren't." And Mom, if you ever want to listen to the tape, I got over an hour's worth of nothing. You won't hear a thing on it. So that's the kind of crap that I would do. Oh yeah, I wanted to say this too. When I was at home, I learned how to lay block because I did all the block work for where our swimming pool was going to go. I actually ran a jackhammer, and I was so short I had to lift it this way. The handles on the jackhammer were so high, there's no way I could pick it up this way. And I had to jackhammer out the bottom of our pool. I did all this kind of junk all the time, and nobody really, you might say I didn't get thanked for it or anything like that. And actually, I'll share this one too. Might as well make this a longer one. After we got the swimming pool in, I decided I wanted to go scuba diving, and so I took an air compressor that ran continuous. It really had no tank on it. And I had a mask that had 2 snorkels that went into the top. And so I just took both snorkels out, plugged the one hole, and put the air hose in the other one. Then made up a weight belt, had lead weights, stuck them in the doors. So I made up a weight belt with lead weights in it, and it would hold me all the way down the bottom of the pool. And I would go down and I would scrub the pool with a hand brush just for the hell of it. I decided I wanted to go for a record to see how long I could stay down. And I went down, I scrubbed the deep part of the pool, and then I laid on my back, and believe it or not, I went to sleep. Now, this is one of the most unhealthy things you could be doing because this is a regular oil type air compressor. So I'm pumping all kinds of shit into my lungs, and it's probably one of the reasons I act the way I do today. Uh, but in the end, I was down for more than 45 minutes. Uh, just I just had to do stuff like that, and I'll be telling about a lot more like that, and some that are not so good too. But at this point in my life, I don't realize the problems and all as much. I just am lucky enough to stay out of my father's hair as much as possible, and just keep it moving, you know. So. Well, I'll be telling you some more on my next one. Of course, you know what it's going to be titled. Why Me? Number 9. And you can also be looking for Can't You, Can't You, yeah, I just messed it up. Can't You See It? Because that's going to be an interesting one. Thanks a lot. See ya.